Hi there, my name's George, and I'm here to shed some light on heat pumps and their utilisation. At the moment, as we're all well aware, in the UK there's an initiative to put heat pumps in place of gas boilers. Now, I feel that some of the advice that's being given is very misguided, and therefore I'm going to try to explain my reasons for that statement, and also where you can fit these things and where you probably shouldn't. Now, heat pumps as such have been around for some time, and they're mainly suitable for new builds where there is no infrastructure, or places where, for instance, there is no gas supply. In those cases, obviously, you have to use electricity, and obviously the heat pump is an electric item. Now, the way it works is that it's a big fan and a radiator, and it pumps a lot of air through the radiator, and then you've got a compressor inside the unit which converts the cold air, into heat. Now, to get enough heat out of the cold air, you need quite a big fan. So the unit tends to be fairly large, and it needs to be installed out in the garden or on an outside wall, preferably in the garden, because you need to maintain it. They are also slightly noisy, because obviously all that amount of air being pushed through this radiator creates noise. Right, now, in the conventional house, obviously this unit converts the cold air into water heat. So it heats up the water. Now, invariably, because of the outside temperature, the water temperature doesn't really get much above 40 degrees, whereas in a gas boiler it goes up to 70. As I said, for a new build, they're perfectly okay. Now, the majority of the housing in the UK is pre-1960s, 1950s. All the suburbs were basically built in the 30s and 40s. So you find that all these houses have got gas supplies, and invariably have got central heating boilers, combi boilers fitted, which give them hot water as well as central heating. The problem with retrofitting is that, number one, you've got to get rid of the old installation, which costs money. Then you've got to install a new installation, and it's not just a matter of changing out the boiler. The problem we have, as I've said, because the water temperature in a heat pump doesn't get much beyond 40 degrees, all the radiators you have in your existing home will be too small, because they're designed for 70 degrees. So you find that you have to get rid of all the radiators. The piping then probably doesn't match. The boiler installation has to be ripped out. And you also find that because of the low water temperature of the heat pump, you can't really use it for water heating. So you end up having to put in an immersion heater, boiler. Now, these normally have either a 3 or a 6 kilowatt element. The water heater installation is necessary not just because of the water temperature, but also because of Legionnaire's disease. Invariably, Legionnaire's bacteria lives in the piping. Now, with your gas boiler, because the temperature goes up to 60, 70 degrees, it kills the bacteria. So when you have a shower, the fine mist that comes out of the shower head is dead of bacteria. If you have water at 40 degrees, there is a chance that the bacteria can live inside the system. And when you have a shower, you can in fact get Legionnaire's disease, because the bacteria is live. So that's the other reason why you need to have a water heater, electric water heater. With respect to the heat pump itself, they are more efficient with regards to converting energy into central heating. The problem you have is that it's again in retrofits. Nearly all the housing was built prior to the 60s. Now, for instance, my house was built in 1938, and at the time in 1938, the electrical supply basically only fed a radio and a few lights. Now, moving on from that time, we've now added hobs, electric ovens, extractor fans, dishwashers, washing machines, tumble dryers, TVs, computers, etc., etc. So now the loadings are much higher than they were when they were first built. Now, as a norm, we take 6 kilowatts for a small house and 9 kilowatts for a big house as being the load, conventional load. Now, with 6 kilowatts, that works out to around 30 odd amps, 32 amps, and your house is fitted with a 60 amp fuse. Now, my gas boiler is rated at 24 kilowatts, and the efficiency is 3:1. So invariably, it takes about 8 kilowatts of electricity, to give me the 24 kilowatts of heat. Now you've got to add that on to your existing load, and you'll find that the fuse you've got, the 60 amp fuse, is just too small. It's going to blow. Typically as well, we as an electrical engineer, we don't like to load anything more than 80% as a maximum. So the infrastructure that's out in the street, in my case, is 80 odd years old. And we're going to, if I put in a heat pump, I'm going to give this poor cable a heart attack because it's just, 80 years old for a start. And then you can run it over maximum load. So the government has shot itself in the foot, really, because I don't think it's considered what's out in the street. It's only considered what's in the home. And invariably, also the other thing, of course, is you're going to need more circuit breakers in your electric consumer unit, because you need one for the heat pump, and you need another breaker for the electric water heater. So you find that it's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Also, the costs are outlandish. I mean, I replaced my boiler about a year or so ago, and it cost me £3,000. From what the government are saying, to replace it with a heat pump system would cost me over 15. But that's just buying the heat pump. That doesn't take into account removal of the old, which is also going to cost you a few thousand. So you could be looking at 18 odd £1,000 to replace your gas boiler, which you can replace for about 3. So again, economically, it just doesn't make sense. If we are going to spend money, I mean, the government are proposing to give grants of £5,000. If we are going to spend money, the way forward really is to insulate all the homes. Again, all the housing built from the 60s backwards have got cavity walls which are full of air. Now, these can be filled with insulating foam very cheaply and would decrease your losses enormously, the same way as if we properly insulate our lofts. We would easily save, I don't know, overall about 20 or 30% on our gas bills for the cost of maybe 1,000, 1,500 quid. If you're going to spend money, you spend it there. Don't spend it on a heat pump. As I said, if it's a new build, though, yes. Anyway, I think I'd better leave it at that and hope that some sense comes out of all this at the end of the day. Until some other time, bye for now.